Wilson, Canna Talk ND with Wilson. You've got yourself to the top of the hour here at KRFF 95.9 LPFM. Moorhead, Fargo, 701-478-4959 is the number. And if you're listening in Lipstick, New Brunswick, you can jump on RadioFreeFargo.org. You can donate there. I highly suggest it. You can listen to this later if you'd like. And there's other shows like Side Stage with Trav, which is noon to 3. And if I can only be a fraction of as good as his, then you guys will be golden. It's a beautiful day here in Fargo, although it's always 420 degrees in the studio. I've dressed appropriately. And cannabis, that's what we're going to talk about in a positive light. We're just screaming up to stinking election, and we've got a lot of news to talk about. And actually, we've got a lot of stuff to wrap up. And then after the election, I won't talk about it anymore because I won't need to, but hopefully the things that I do get to say are, is good news. But, here's the thing. When I come in here next Thursday, and I'm here every Thursday from 4 to 5, at 4:20, I weigh you out a bag of cannabis news, and I curated, 30 minutes of what I think you should know about this week in cannabis legalization. And again, we're screaming up to election, so by the time you and I meet back here again next Thursday on Radio Free Fargo 95.9, we'll have a president. So or it may be a different one. It's crazy. It really is crazy. And I just wanted to mention that, post-election, there's going to be, high levels of emotional volatility. And it just may get ugly in some of your guys' heads. So I just wanted to mention that the mobile mental health crisis response number is 1-800-233-4512. And depending on the results, some of you husbands might be homeless after this. Joking aside, the New Life Center helps people who are homeless and hurting go from merely surviving to truly thriving. Their aim is to help people in need discover value and find hope. The New Life Center has evolved into a multifaceted emergency and crisis service center. To learn more about NLC, visit their website at www.fargonlc.org or give them a call at 701-235-4453. It's Thursday. Cannabis news. Canna Talk ND with Wilson. You can go to YouTube and you'll be able to listen to this minus the music. Usually tomorrow I usually post on Canna Talk ND or ND for Freedom of Cannabis, and also on Instagram and RadioFreeFargo.org. You can listen to archives there and donate, because this is the station that's cool enough to let me do a whole year of shows. That's right. This was the first day a year ago. Actually, it was Halloween a year ago Thursday. And I was freaking out. I'm not going to lie to you one bit. But I'm certainly not the same kind of nervous now. I'm getting ready to have a good time. I feel good about it. I've accomplished a lot of things in my self-control and self-esteem and confidence has all kind of played into this. And I'm right about... I don't know, I kind of forgot because I got ADD, but I'm right around the 2 years clean mark. So let's give me a hand. That's right. You're talking and listening to the guy who has abstained from all the nastiness that can get into your world. And that's including porn, ladies and gentlemen. Radio Free Fargo, 95.9. That's right, KRFF. You're here. We're here. And we're ready to rock. So, did I miss anything? No, we didn't. So here's what I was going to do. So the song that I played a year ago, I messed it up. And so, because I got a brain like a steel trap, I'm going to play that song for you now. And it's the first one and the second one that I played a year ago. Here's Cocaine, Crash Test Dummies. That was a Jackson Browne cover, Cocaine, Crash Test Dummies. That's off the live album 2018. And that... I didn't mess it up this time, but yeah, that was the second song I played a year ago, Thursday. It was on Halloween, so I don't know, because of leap year and some sort of stuff, we are on Thursday, 2 days before Halloween, and, behind the curtain of, COVID reality, I'm not even sure, I feel horrible for people who love Halloween, because COVID's definitely, made it I don't know, seems scary, I guess. Although again, those PVC tubes shoot the candy down the tube right into the basket. That sounds awesome. I mean, you could do it from 2 floors up, in your apartment, 3 floors up. Just to get an extended tube, man, and just shoot that stuff to the sidewalk. Man, if we all did it, it'd make trick-or-treating fun for kids again. Could you imagine if those PVC tubes that come out of the apartments to the sidewalk and the kid just runs down the sidewalk and candy just shooting into their thing? That would be awesome. It really would. But you guys don't want to hear about that. You want to hear about what's even going on. And I'll tell you. Canna Talk ND with Wilson. We cover cannabis news. And this particular at 420, I like to say I weigh you up a fresh bag of cannabis news. And we're going to get into that. We'll open her up. It's Ziploc tight to be fresh for you. But one last time, I've got to beat up Measure 2 and make sure that you guys know that at least one person, Wilson, thinks we should vote no on Measure 2 and apparently vote no on Measure 1, and I did, So I woke up the other morning realizing that I was going to vote. I haven't done it ever, It's just scary, and I could never see voting to mean anything. It's just the way it was, the way it is. But not this year. 2020 got Wilson out of his house, mostly properly dressed, went down to the Civic Center. There's like 6 different people and stages that you got to get through, which is a little weird, But I will say that I couldn't darken the circle of the Scantron dark enough on Measure 2. It's not about us. It's not positive for us. It is really bad news that you bring on yourself when you vote for Measure 2. If you vote for Measure 2, you're saying to yourself, self, you suck. You're not worth nothing. Jump out of a window. Because Measure 2 is set up to choke out the very life of people control. And it's not even control. It's just like we live here. And if enough of us, say it needs to change, then so be it. Because, people and legislators have seemed to become it's become us versus them somehow. And Measure 2 is the very example of that. So I don't have time. People ask, what's up with Measure 2? Do what I do. Google it. There's a good Valley News Live with Morgan, I believe, but just type it in. Because, again, I got ADD. I barely typed it in. I barely voted. So it's at the end of the day, it's why should I tell you why you should vote for Measure 2 when you can Google it? So Google it, but even if you don't Google it, vote stinking no. It was created by legislators that didn't like, the power that a constitutional amendment would grant the people if they got, which I might add, twice as many signatures, twice as many signatures. So there's extra steps that the constitutional amendment would provide, the extra security that we, the people, just had to get more signatures. So no on Measure 2, and I won't say it again. I do want to mention that I typed boo on Measure 2. Measure 2 is number 2, and one other one. All that was deleted off the yes on Measure 2, and then they, which I didn't know you could do this, removed all my power just to share. That's all I could do. That's how scary I was to their thread, which, again, I don't want to vote for a guy that would do that. If he's going to squash a certain element of the truth, so just one part of his truth glares out, then he's not up for us. He's not down for whatever. He ain't down. So anyway, we are right up into the next part of the songy songs. They're both new. The first one's Static Selecta, Keep It Moving, got Nas in there, Gary Clark Jr. And then right after that, Summer Madness by Khruangbin. Khruangbin. Don't matter. Anyway, after this, you know what's going to happen. But anyway, the last time I'll ever say it, vote no on Measure 2 for the love of people's opinion. We the people, no on 2. Here we go. Oh, yeah, that's how you do it there. Keep It Moving, Static Selecta, brand new. Summer Madness by Khruangbin. That's a Kool and the Gang cover. It's a Summer Madness album. That's kind of like a shout out to the recent loss of one of the Kool and the Gangs. I don't know if it was cool or not, meaning with a K, not is it cool, because of course it wasn't cool. But how is this for timing? Let's hit the intro, and we'll do Canna Talk ND with Wilson right on the other side of this.
Yo, it's Wilson from Canna Talk ND. You know, the super awesome show you're getting ready to listen to. I think you should go and subscribe to the YouTube channel. I'll wait. Okay, enjoy the show.
All right, Canna Talk ND with Wilson every Thursday, 4 o'clock. And then I weigh you out a fresh bag of cannabis news, I always say, at 4:20, and that's where we are. So let's talk about it. We got, first of all, before I stinking forget, because I've been forgetting the last, 2-3 weeks, Dogface, right? The guy doing the Fleetwood Mac on the skateboard. He's from Idaho, and it's illegal for cannabis is illegal in Idaho. But if you look at him, he's got a necklace, and that necklace is like a goop of dab, which, as some people might know, especially if you've got medical cards here in North Dakota, that it's an extract that you can, vape, all right? And it's a higher, THC content. Well, anyway, he was interviewed, and he's been in L.A. the last couple of weeks. He's been videotaped skateboarding with Wiz Khalifa, smoking a joint. He did B-Real's podcast, and that's all they do is they sit around and smoke and do dabs and talk about current events. In that particular episode yesterday, Dogface was there, and he's loving it because he says it saved his life. But he has to say he just uses CBD because in Idaho, that's the only thing legal. Canna Talk ND with Wilson here, Radio Free Fargo, every Thursday at 4:20. And so that's kind of interesting. You don't have to just Google Dogface and cannabis. And I remember watching like a thing where it showed him in his trailer, but he couldn't have been doing it. It must have been CBD flower, but I think that's awesome, isn't it? Because, the drink that he was drinking as he was skateboarding with the TikTok thing, they kicked him down like something. I think they bought him a vehicle. So he's getting all kinds of love, but he's also advocating cannabis for us, or for him, for everyone, In Idaho, they do plan to have well, apparently they tried and they kind of got kicked back for doing it on this election. But 2022, Idaho is going to have a cannabis plan. And I can't go any further without mentioning a year ago was Halloween. And I, of course, had to talk about the Halloween candy. And I didn't know that I was going to also talk about that this time. Excuse me. But I'm scrolling through, content, and I come across Indiana State Police warn parents of medicated candy during Halloween. Uh-oh. But I giggled because I didn't see the state until I'd seen it. And I was like, oh, of course, Indiana. But a year ago, if I told you that this was something that, was in some state, I would argue you wouldn't know which state. Excuse me. You wouldn't know which state. But when I seen Indiana this year, I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. Because there isn't a whole lot of states that are holding out. And the ones that are holding out, they really sound like they're from some, another planet. Because they're still bringing up, kids. And I brought that information and statistics to you guys. It's down. All the things that prohibitionists have tried to put at us, they're kind of trying to do it this year, and we'll get into it because I'm going to wrap up. There's a couple more things where the states try to get it off the ballot. So there's five states that cannabis legalization is on the ballot for. But first, I just wanted to say Indiana State Police warns parents. And so basically, and it's so funny because they're probably saying that we're trying to protect and serve the children. So we have to call a newspaper and get it in the newspaper, the media, basically contact the media so they can see that we're doing this for them. But the problem I have with it is all the states, and they're growing by the day, of cops that work in those legal states. And they don't bust people for this kind of candy. Are they not protecting children? Are they not out protecting and serving? Because they're in a state that this is legal. Otherwise, what are they doing? What are they doing in Indiana that they need to tell us that they busted somebody recently with marijuana edibles? They say, police warn the candy can look very much like the original, but what they're doing is they're implying that it's going to end up in kids' Halloween bags. And that's just not going to happen. But then they further, went to say that a kid couldn't tell. And if the kid's too young to read, well, what's the point? But I would argue that these bags, I mean, you look at them, they're covered with cannabis leaves everywhere. They've got literally the whole bag is cannabis leaves, except for the word Starburst and Skittle. So I would argue that 99% of that stupid labeled bag tells you what it is. So that's the thing. But I just wanted to, we got to move on quick. But I think it's interesting that they use a protect and serve mentality because it implies that cops aren't protecting children in states where it's legal. And so anyway, I just wanted to mention. So let's give the Seeds and Stems Award this week to Indiana. And Indiana's got to get its act together because Michigan's cannabis, Illinois' cannabis, and boom, Indiana's horrible, And I would argue that it was kind of close to South Dakota, but South Dakota is looking pretty hip. So North Dakota, the only thing going on is Measure 2, vote no for it, because it chokes out the life of us having a constitutional amendment power for whatever. And cannabis is obviously not something we can convince our people that we elected to do. This is our only hope. And to not be able to grow it, it becomes a power grab by the people that are above us, not even. I feel like we need political parallels, where we're working together. Not like I'm trusting you to do what I want and you never do. And that seems to be the thing. So, and that's what Measure 2 would attempt to do, is just take away the power from the people and add it to the legislators. So vote no. So the only thing happening now as we push out is Montana, is our sister from another mister. Then we got South Dakota, which is right south of us. And it's awesome because both of those have a recreational thing. And it becomes, well, what happens? North Dakota becomes Indiana. North Dakota becomes Indiana because below us is South Dakota. And to the west of us is Montana. And furthermore, I'm just going to read this marijuana moment. Former federal prosecutor endorses marijuana legalization initiative in South Dakota in new ad. Now, remember last Thursday I mentioned, I forget his name, but he was the former cop in Sioux Falls, and he came out for it. Well, there's a new ad, and isn't that neat? I mean, I feel like a nerd, but man, what South Dakota used to be, I don't know. It was the last place I thought we would get this kind of support for cannabis. Like I knew Christy Don't Know Him was going to make up some weird thing to say no. Right outside of the corner of her mouth, she said, my people can make the decisions. They're free people to make responsible, adult decisions, but not cannabis. Don't do it. It's bad for kids. What? So anyway, we've got Randy Saylor here. He served as a U.S. Attorney for the District of South Dakota from 2015 to 2017. He said the proposals are well-written, smart reforms of our harsh marijuana laws, unquote, which is pretty neat, because, again, I didn't expect. I expected them to not write a really good bill and then get a lot of flack, and then they try again, just like, North Dakota is trying. And when they knock you down, and it's usually this like witching hour, the last minute, all of a sudden they're like, well, this, disrupts us something. And at the midnight hour, they yank that measure. But it doesn't look like the same momentum this time. That's what's so exciting. So let me just say it here before I get off on a where is he chasing the squirrel kind of moment. Okay, so 5 states has legalization up for the thing. So South Dakota's got A and Measure 26. So if you're in South Dakota, yes on A, yes on 26. Don't take my word for it. Take the former U.S. Attorney for the District of South Dakota. He says the proposals are well-written, smart reforms of our harsh marijuana laws. I didn't say it. Randy Saylor, former District of South Dakota Attorney. Okay, so he says one mistake, possession of even a gram of marijuana can ruin a life. I'm telling you, it could mean jail. I did it. A record. I got one. Making it hard to get a job. Well, I already got one. An apartment or serve in the military. We can set that right by voting yes on A and 26. Because in South Dakota right now, if you get pulled over for any traffic violation, they can get a warrant, have you pee in a cup, and if you're positive from wherever you came from, you'll get booked into jail and you'll have to go to court and pay a fine for it. I don't think there's any other state that does that. So how awesome is this turnaround? And it looks like the, let's see, there's just more. Okay, so a poll published over the weekend indicates that these pro-reform messages are resonating with South Dakotans. A survey of likely voters shows that 51% support the adult use, and 74% said they support the reform of medical. Kristi Noem, she previously vetoed a hemp bill. She urged constituents to reject the reform initiative, stating that it's not good for our kids and won't improve our communities. And she said, and this is a quote, "I've never met someone who got smarter from smoking pot." See, and that just shows the ignorance on her part, because it is cannabis. That's what it's called. Pot and marijuana are all racially soaked in badness, all right? That's not what it is. It's cannabis. It's a plant that grows out of the ground that can be utilized for almost everything that we've instead raped our environment for. Period. So, boo on Kristi Noem, but yay on the people. I think it's really exciting, because when you have the leader you South Dakotans can shut her up. That is awesome. And according to 74% for medical, 51% for recreational, fantastic. So stick it to Kristi Noem. You guys know, like she said, I trust your guys' decision. You're not stupid. You're smart. Now go vote smart for 26 and A. So let's keep cruising here. So Arizona, they got a little attackage. Arizona marijuana opponents released 5 misleading attack ads ahead of the legalization vote next week. So Prop 207, if you're in Arizona, Prop 207 vote yes. The digital spots, or whatever, they range from 16 to 42 seconds in length. And it's funny now that these even come out, to sway people. It's funny that people are putting the effort, because it really shows the disconnect, they believe in weird polls and, they really want the money. So here's basically what that first one was. It goes, when Washington State legalized marijuana, wasn't too concerned, but what began happening with students, however, was alarming. See, now he's spinning, He doesn't really know what happens with students. He doesn't even live in Washington State, but that's what he's got to say. Marijuana possession increased. We maintained a zero-drug policy in our district, and parents and students became confused when students were disciplined for possession of marijuana. Suspensions increased, and students lost valuable classroom time. Now, it seems to me like they were doing it because they thought it was legal, and it is, but not in school. So you're blaming that on cannabis? I mean, that's a bunch of double-talk poo-poo. So he says, if I could give one piece of advice from this Democrat school principal from Washington to my new Arizona neighbors, vote no on 207, but it's yes. Now, right underneath it, of course, actually a study published last year by the Federal Center for Disease, CDC, found that youth marijuana use declined in Washington State's largest metropolitan county after legalization. Other research has reached similar conclusions. So these just don't work anymore. And it's funny that you would even spend money. But maybe they have to, and then deep down they know it's going to, whatever. So, yay on Arizona. Here's another one. Marijuana use damages the developing brain of teenagers. Unfortunately, where marijuana is legal for adults, more teens get it and use it. They say Prop 207, will allow it all very appealing to teens, blah, 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 blah. But how come it's okay for booze, though? How come you can do it for tobacco? Because you say the same thing. And I can get grape-flavored blunt tobacco. You know what I'm saying? And come on, don't get me started about booze. Lemonade? You don't think kids like lemonade? Get out of here. And they get inundated with that all the time on TV. What they need to do is maybe get outside in the cannabis garden with their grandpa and learn something. But anyway, the Arizona initiative states that any advertising involving direct, individualized communication shall use a method of age affirming. They're doing the allowed driving The Arizona initiative states that it does not allow driving, flying, or boating while impaired by cannabis to even the slightest degree. So that's what they want you to know. Their traffic deaths doubled after legalization. That's just not true. So when you drop your child off at daycare, you expect the caregiver to be sober. Under Prop 207, employers can only prohibit using marijuana at work. There's nothing stopping employees from using and then heading to the daycare or whatever. I mean, who called the drama police, right? I mean, this guy can't wait to get to stinking, whatever. I'm getting wound up on it. But there's nothing stopping any employees from doing anything. So spitting in your coffee, 2 thumbs in the grilled cheese. So anyway, Arizona, they're voting. Their percentages are up. So let's see here. So this is MaryJane.com. I was just going to peruse. Now, weed legalization is expected to win in 4 of the 5 states voting on it. I just wanted to mention that this is Canna Talk ND with Wilson. At 4:20, I'll give you a fresh bag of cannabis news. That's what we're working our way through here at Radio Free Fargo 95.9. Welcome. So basically, we're 6 days away from the 2020 election, and isn't that crazy, everybody? Now, I went ahead and voted. There's no way I'm telling you who I voted for president. I ain't done it. You guys will giggle at me anyway. But, I'll gladly tell you that I circled the heck out of Measure 2's no. But you'd have to waterboard me to get me to tell you who I voted for president. No way. I'd rather tell you the most embarrassing thing that ever happened to me before I tell you who I voted for president. I'm being half facetious, but not really. So anyway, let's see. So we got Arizona, Montana, New Jersey, and South Dakota. Now, New Jersey said that because they have medical dispensaries, that I think it's the governor claims that they want to immediately turn them over. Apparently, those medicinal dispensaries just have a few things they got to switch, and boom, they can go recreational. So New Jersey's saying, and we're talking governors, everybody's wanting New Jersey to be legal. So that's cool. Arizona, Montana, New Jersey, and South Dakota. Now, the polls in Mississippi, however, suggest voters are deadlocked 50%. And Mississippi is another thing where they came out and said there's too many. Here's why they want to pull it. And they sued or whatever, they did that legally thing. So directly after you guys vote in Mississippi, they're going to have to go to court for the fact that, let's say there's 5 counties or whatever, you can have a certain amount of signatures. But they lost the 5th, so there's only 4. So apparently they claim that no matter what the initiative would be, because they lost amount of governors, like there's a weird ratio now because of the districts or whatever. So that's got to get dealt with, But anyway, let's see. New Jersey's number signals that they're beyond ready to go green. 65% of the survey says they'll vote to fully legalize adult use cannabis. 29% say they won't, but who cares? Adult use legalization in Arizona, Prop 207. There's 55% of the voters say they'll vote to flip the state green. Residents in Montana don't favor legalization quite like the ones I just mentioned, but it's still a matter of 49% supporting the measure, 39% opposing it. I would argue that the ones that do these stupid polls aren't the ones that are not the ones that are going to vote for cannabis. Those guys aren't going to say anything and show up. Again, I'm not a poly guy. South Dakotans are voting on medical and rec. The medical cannabis figures are way up, 74 for yes, and that's so awesome. I'm so proud of South Dakota. Let's give them a hand. Okay, so something to keep in mind about Mississippi is, they're doing something funny. So Mississippi said they would vote to legalize. So here's the thing. So they just really confused everything. Initiative 65. And then the prohibitionists added a 65A, which, I don't even want to describe it to you guys because it's so stinking confusing. But here I want to just read. Okay, so Mississippi Supreme Court, and then I'll end with this. And again, thanks for checking out Canna Talk ND with Wilson, the best show in the world, directly after Side Stage with Trab, noon to 3. So anyway, Mississippi. And this is another kind of, and I'm done saying Bible Belty thing because I believe, it was created. I believe cannabis didn't come from some weird reason. I believe it came from the same way that, things grow to keep us healthy. We didn't plant the food that we, you know what I mean? It was here before us. I believe cannabis was here before us also, and greed sidetracked our forefathers, bless their hearts. So we're just righting a wrong, and, and it has nothing to do with, a biblical reason or not. Christian or not, cannabis needs to be legal. Don't matter who you believe in. Legalize it. So anyway, Supreme Court announced on Wednesday that it won't weigh the merits of a last-minute legal challenge to medical marijuana ballot in Mississippi. Sorry, I got to hold on one second. There we go. Okay, so here's the thing. So they went and said that the state law was not properly followed to place the cannabis issue before voters. Now, I'll say that they don't want you to believe that cannabis is the reason. They said it'd been any initiative. So here's what they say. Okay, so it's 3 days after voters will decide on the two competing medical cannabis measures that appear on their ballots. So here's the thing. Madison's emergency petition cites a law stipulating, and it's only some stipulated law they pull out of their hind hole, that signatures of the qualified electors from any congressional district shall not exceed 1/5 of the total number of signatures required to qualify an initiative petition for placement upon the ballot. But that policy went into effect when Mississippi had 5 congressional districts, and that's since been reduced to 4, making it mathematically impossible to adhere to. So, they cite a law stipulating that signatures of the qualified electors from any congressional district shall not exceed 1/5 of the total number of signatures required to qualify an initiative petition for placement upon the ballot. But when it went into effect, they had 5 congressional districts, and now it's been reduced to 4. So petitioners' challenge to the filing of the petition for initiative measure number 65 is a challenge to form. The measure could be about any topic, and its constitutional invalidity would remain. No matter what the content of the measure is, the petition signatures are insufficient under the plain language. And it's unfortunate that the legislator failures means that the Constitution cannot be amended by initiative until either section blah, blah, blah is amended or Mississippi regains a congressional seat. I don't know what any of that means, but I do know that these guys are just out. It's like I said, these last-minute ditch efforts to keep the good thing down. That keeps the good thing down. But here's the awesome thing. Missouri and Maine, they're now medical. They're kicking. That's a win in the last couple weeks. Stinking Montana, South Dakota, all have great potential. So, I'll have all that news. That'll be an exciting Canna Talk ND with Wilson here at Radio Free Fargo next Thursday. 4 o'clock I get started. 4:20 we get into the meat of the thing. Again, I like to say we weigh out a fresh bag of cannabis news for all of us to learn, because the smarter we are, the smarter we are. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, I just wanted to mention that Cory Booker urges New Jersey voters to legalize. Montana has a solid lead. Apparently, Kansas residents support legalizing cannabis by a large margin. Like I said, Idaho activists submit 2022 medical marijuana initiatives. I also wanted to say Nebraska's already outside with their jackets and their social distancing because they know it needs to be done, and they ain't slowing down. They're rocking. And then for us, what can we do locally? Educate yourself and vote for somebody you think that would be sensitive to cannabis reform, and no on measure 1 and 2. And if you don't have time to research it, just vote no on measure 2 and tell them Wilson sent you. This hour programming on KRFF 95.9 LPFM is being underwritten by Terps Candy. Terps Candy enhances, it relieves and relaxes with the power of terpenes, and they make a great CBD companion. Terps Candy can be found at 14 Fargo Moorhead locations or online at terpscandy.net. Terps Candy, they enhance, relieve, and relax. I always say it's the candy with a conscience. Canna Talk ND with Wilson every Thursday at 4, and then at 4:20 I dust off the cannabis news bag and flick all the seeds out, and I give you the straight, uncut stuff. So tomorrow won't be any different. But I got 4 boys from Mali right now. Normally I don't do back-to-back two things from the same guys. But I don't know that you guys have probably heard of these guys. It's Sung Hoi Blues. And I figured, well, I'll just give you 2 hits of this. Sung Hoi Blues, first up is Bon Bon. Second up is Worry. Here we go. Yeehaw. Sung Hoi Blues, brand new. 4 gentlemen from Mali. First song was Bon Bon. Last one was Worry. That was, I don't know, it's really good. Canna Talk ND with Wilson every Thursday here on Radio Free Fargo, 95.9 LPFM, Moorhead, Fargo, radiofreefargo.org. If you're listening from Lichtenstein, Nova Scotia, check us out, Canna Talk ND with Wilson on YouTube and Facebook and Instagram, and Indie for Freedom of Cannabis also on Facebook. Check me out there. Before me again was Side Stage with Trav. He'll be back here next Thursday right before me. And I just wanted to mention, if you were listening to the first hour, before 4 o'clock, and all of a sudden there was like 7 songs that happened to be talking about being high, that was a coincidence. I didn't do that. So that just tells you that you need to come and always listen. Always listen to Radio Free Fargo. I just also wanted to mention this is my anniversary of sorts. I've done 52 shows since I've started. I feel a whole lot better than when I started. I remember Jason Anderson telling me as we left after doing a shadow, he goes, "You don't need anybody here. You'll be fine." I'm thinking, this guy's crazy, I'm not going to be fine. All I did was, I didn't really do anything to do it, That was the thing. Like, I hadn't actually actively did anything. And so I just did do it, but I remember there's some paperwork you have to sign before you get started. And I remember I was shaking like a leaf. But, again, thanks to Radio Free Fargo for giving me a shot. I plan to be here for many more years to come. I like this spot here Thursday at 4 o'clock, 4:20. I give you a big fat bag of cannabis news that I curate from the week before. I like to call it the Week in Weed. I don't know if I like or always call it that, but that's what I'm calling it now. Canna Heads, also on Canna Talk ND every Sunday. That guy, he's my tech dude. Pilko, he gets into stuff that I normally wouldn't pick at, so go check him out. Again, Canna Talk ND on YouTube. We'll remove the music and then get that up for you probably tomorrow sometime. I bid you guys adieu. I do want to say that it's always 420 degrees in the studio here, and I've dressed appropriately. You guys take care and educate yourself. Go out and vote. Vote pro-cannabis. Power to the people. No on measure 2. And then you guys come back here on Thursday, 4 o'clock, and we'll talk about the results pertaining to cannabis. I'm not going to touch the presidency because, man, oh, man, is the world not going to be wild post-election. So I'd say maybe get a bulletproof vest, loin yourself up with some truth and some Capri Sun, and wait this one out. Radio Free Fargo, Canna Talk ND with Wilson. We are done. David Allen, Judgment Day. See ya.